Good morning, friends. Ann here. Got my cup of coffee, got the Word of God, and today's reading is from Mark chapter 7, verses 24 through 30. Friends, let me read it to you, and then we're going to talk about it. Then Jesus left Galilee and went north to the region of Tyre. He didn't want anyone to know which house he was staying in, but he couldn't keep it a secret. Right away, a woman who had heard about him came and fell at his feet. Her little girl was possessed by an evil spirit, and she begged him to cast out the demon from her daughter. Since she was a Gentile born in Syrophoenicia, Jesus told her, "First, I should feed the children, my own family, the Jews. It isn't right to take food from the children and throw it to the dogs." She replied, "That's true, Lord, but even the dogs under the table are allowed to eat the scraps from the children's plates." "Good answer," he said. "Now go home, for the demon has left your daughter." And when she arrived home, she found her little girl lying quietly in bed, and the demon was gone. Friends, I don't know about you, but this passage has always bothered me that Jesus would call this woman who needed him, who had a daughter who needed him, a dog. And it just sounds like such an insult, and it sounds like something that the Jesus that I know would not say. So today I spent some time studying this passage, and I hope that it will help it make sense to you as it does to me. So the first thing that we need to know is that there was very much a disconnect between the Jews and the Gentiles. The Gentiles are anybody that is not a Jew. And what we know about Jesus, and this is said over and over again, here's an example in Romans chapter 1, verse 16. It says, "For I am not ashamed of this good news about Christ. It is the power of God at work, saving everyone who believes, the Jew first, and also the Gentile." Remember, in the Old Testament, there was a covenant that was made with Abraham, and Abraham was the father of the Jewish nation. And so Jesus came for the Jews first, not for the Jews only, but for the Jews first, and then the Gentiles. Now, the other thing that you need to know is that there were some derogatory words that were used for Gentiles among the Jews. They looked down on these people because they knew that they were God's chosen people, but they looked down on everyone else. They didn't understand that Jesus came first for them and then for the world, everyone else. And so they felt a sense of pride in their heritage. Pride so much that they would insult other people. Here, this was a woman from the Syrian Phoenicia area, and there were other people that were from Samaria who were also looked down upon. So there was a term that they would use for these people, and it was the term dogs. Now, there are two words for dogs that were used. One was this kind of refuse, kind of garbage eating mongrel, right? And that is the word that they would typically use for people like this woman. They would call her a dog, that she is worth nothing, that she is just like a mongrel, because they worship other gods, because they don't live the life of a devoted Jew. And so they would use those derogatory words to describe these people. But the thing that is interesting that we don't know unless we dig into this passage is that Jesus does not use that word. He takes the word that they typically would use, and he uses a different word for dog, which is the kind of dog that is like your pet, one that endears themselves to you. And so here he uses this softer word of dog to this woman, and in her persistence and in her faith, she responds to him, "But even dogs under the table are allowed to eat the scraps from the children's plate." Even the family pets are important, Jesus. And Jesus has compassion on this woman because of her faith. Jesus came for the Jews first, but he also came for her. And she, in her humility, called him to remember that and approached him with humility. She didn't approach him, "Well, I've been good and I've done this." Friends, she teaches us a lesson about how to approach Jesus. We don't come to Jesus with what we deserve, with the things that we have earned. We are to come to Jesus in the same way that this woman came to Jesus, with humility, recognizing that we have nothing to give and everything to receive. And in coming to him in humility, then we are able to fully receive his power. So friends, today, how do you come to Jesus? Come to Jesus with humility. Have a good day.